Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Ponsky, your guide to college. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And welcome to Being Jewish in College's new video series, Kibbutz in 10 Minutes. Today, we were going to get 10 minutes of really valuable information from Lisa Bodziner, the Executive Director of Towson University, Hillel. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lisa. To kick this off, my first question for you is, what is the name of the Jewish Center on campus?
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And the Hillel Lounge is the Jewish space on campus. So really, we just kind of call it the Hillel Lounge.
Wonderful. So approximately how many students are there on campus? And if you happen to know that number, do you happen to know the approximate breakdown in terms of students who might identify as secular, Reform, conservative, Orthodox, humanist, Reconstructionist, or any other definition that our very diverse group of people could take on as a title?
Sure. So we have about 22,000 students undergrad that were enrolled this past year. We identify about 10% of those students being Jewish or identify as Jewish in some form. So we're talking about ballpark 2,000 to 2,200 Jewish students that we've connected with or identified. And it's interesting because Towson is in Baltimore or north of Baltimore, but the Maryland area. 88% of our students are from in-state, and in Baltimore itself, 40% of our Jewish community identify as Orthodox, which is a very large percentage, granted, compared to many other cities in the country. We have a large Orthodox population here in Baltimore. So to answer that question, I would just say, while we have really students from all different backgrounds, there's probably a little bit larger percentage of students that identify as Orthodox just because of that, the amount of students that are either commuting and living at home in Baltimore or identify as Orthodox, grew up Orthodox, that are from the Baltimore area or the larger Baltimore area. I have to say, one of my, some of my favorite memories of being in the Hillel Lounge pre-COVID were the diversity of our students sitting around together. Some, students leading Birkat Hamazon, blessing after meals, other students asking what it was they were saying, other students getting food from the kosher corner, other students getting things from, the general dining hall, and really just sitting and eating together. So I would say the breakdown is probably in some ways equal throughout the different denominations, and there's a wide variety. And the last thing I'll say is, parents that call and ask, will my kid fit in? She was really involved with BBYO, or will my kid fit in? We've gotten more religious but he grew up conservative, or, will my kid fit in? My husband's not Jewish, but I am. And, there's a place for everyone at Hillel, and that's what makes Hillel such a special place. And I think that reigns true among all of our campuses across the country and world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So you mentioned very briefly about food. So my next question is, are there kosher food options available to students? And if so, what are they?
Yes. So unfortunately, the kosher corner did have to close down over COVID, as almost all the dining halls did at the university. However, hopefully starting late summer, early fall, the kosher corner will reopen. They're open 5 days a week, serve lunch and dinner. And there's dairy 2 to 3 days a week and meat the other days of the week. So there's always that option, and it's included in the meal plan. And it's in Newell Dining Hall, which is one of the major dining halls on campus, kitty corner to Hillel. And so, students can very easily swipe their card and get whatever food they want, including the kosher corner, if that's the kind of food that they want. Also, as I mentioned before, this being Baltimore, there's over 20 different restaurants that students can order, and a lot that do deliver, even before COVID, but now it's even easier. So there's definitely that option to order. And of course, we're Hillel. We always have food. We deliver Shabbat meals. And, we'll continue to do that kind of option probably even after COVID or moving into next year. And so many options here for kosher dining.
Wonderful. In terms of Shabbat, are there weekly, prior to COVID and hopefully again in the future, are there weekly Shabbat dinner or gathering opportunities for students?
So what we've done in the past, we had every other week was a Shabbat, a student-led in-person Shabbat, and then a buffet style meal after. We're definitely exploring what it's going to look like come the fall, whether we continue with that every other option. We also, every week, students have the option to order Shabbat Your Way, where we essentially let them cook and get groceries and make their own meal for up to 10 students, 10 friends. And so that's always an option weekly. And we think that we're going to continue with the delivery Shabbat to go for students that might not still feel comfortable coming in gatherings, whether it's outdoor or indoor. And so we'll probably continue that. So while we offer something formal every other week, we always encourage students to either host their own, or we'll do a delivery and have them, host their own.
Awesome. So shifting a little bit in terms of the academic side of things, are there Jewish studies majors or minors or Hebrew language instruction that are available to students on campus?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And I love answering it because I am so proud to be a partner with Baltimore Hebrew Institute, which is a program on campus where students can not only become Jewish studies minors or majors, but also can apply and pursue a master's degree within a 5-year period. I was lucky enough to go to Israel and get higher education abroad, but it is an incredible program. Oftentimes it's subsidized, and our students, that some of them that get involved with Hillel don't even want to be Jewish leaders, but the fact is they explore their leadership skills and then realize we have this incredible program, BHI, and become, masters in education, masters in social work, and get their degrees. And once they graduate, it's one more year and then they're ready, they're far above their friends and classmates because they have an additional title and degree, and won't walk away with as many student loans as sometimes, other majors or other students do. So it's an incredible opportunity.
Awesome. It's awesome. Um, what is the political or social climate like on campus, especially with topics around BDS, anti-Semitism, Zionism, anti-Israel? And how does the university, especially the administration, work with you all to make it, a safe place for students?
Yeah, when I came into this job 4 years ago, I asked the previous executive director, who now is the director at Hopkins, and he said, I'm, you know, you're lucky in the sense that you're walking into a campus that really focuses much more on social partnership and is not as high intensity political as a campus. And it's true, in the past 4 years that I've been the executive director, that's not to say, we have had, unfortunately, graffiti incidents in the main area of campus, but one rather unfortunate assault that was handled and dealt with. And beyond that, um, there's very little things that I get called at 11 o'clock at night with, thank God. And the truth is, a few years ago, our program director now, who's an alum, she helped with some friends start a program, JAM, Jews and Muslims. And at core, the intention of that program was to be social, to engage with others, and to, they actually made JAM together as one of their programs, and to have cultural experiences where we have, high level conversations, but ultimately also come together as people. I'm very close with the Muslim student faculty member, Dr. Kermani. I just had a beer with him yesterday, actually. And, the first time I got the job, he said, we need to have lunch together once a month so we can model what it means to have respectful relationships among different religions. I was the previous chair of the religious council. And so when it comes to faculty and staff working together, the religious council, representing 20 different religious groups on campus, meet quarterly throughout the calendar year. And I've always felt a strong sense of support from the campus support, from the Diversity Center, Student Diversity, and from Dr. Kim Schatzel, the president of the university herself. We also speak quarterly. And she'll always say that she has our support if anything happens, as well as the chief officer on campus.
Awesome. Okay. So for a student that's coming to Towson, what if any challenges may they face just coming to the university as a Jewish student?
I mean, the truth is, I do feel, one, it's a large campus. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I loved coming from Savannah, Georgia, a small town, to 40,000 students. And I feel like I found my place instantly. But I do think it is, at least pre-COVID, when you see the amount of options and the amount that students can tap into, I'm curious about what the world's going to look like as we move into, a post-COVID reality, and there's going to be even more over programming and more options and more things to do, and because we're all so eager to get back into it. So I see how overwhelmed students are. And look, I'm, a working mom raising 2 kids, but they seem like the busiest people in the world. And so part of me is just like, slow down, so I think there's a pressure almost like, what am I going to do? How am I going to find my place? The academic piece. I think sometimes it's hard if you're not in smaller classes to get what you want. And as a Jewish student, I mean, thank God our students have options. We have incredible options. So I would say to just tap in, find us, and know that there's incredible support. But I would say sometimes students feel overwhelmed with the amount of choices, programmatic and academic. And sometimes, like those first year things, where do I live? What's the right area for me? Pieces like that.
This is a little bit of a shift again, but what is the most popular or well-attended program that you put on in a year?
The past few years, again, and not including last year, is our annual basketball event that is hosted by JTAA, Jewish Tiger Alumni Alliance. And it's in the new Secu Arena on campus, which is gorgeous. And we always pick a local rival. And the truth is, we get hundreds of people to come out. And it's not just our students. I love it because it does feel like this intergenerational, like almost a synagogue that's intergenerational. Like, it's an event where our young alumni plan it, our board members come, community leaders come, the president of the university with her senior leadership come. We have, of course, students, and Greek Life, AE Pi usually partners with us as well. And of course, the staff works so hard to make it happen. And it's just this incredible event. There's my kids, they get to meet our mascot, and, we get a halftime commercial, and it's just this incredible spirit. And I do think Towson just continues to grow with the spirit, with the vibe, with the academics, with the space. There's incredible, I used to joke when I lived in Israel, the crane was the state bird. And you feel that way here at Towson. I mean, every day there's a new development. So that event it's incredible spirit. We, pull out all the stops with the beautiful food and decor and silent auction. And everyone just has a blast, no matter if you're 6 months old or 65 plus.
Awesome. So before we kind of begin to wrap up, one of my second to last question is, what is one interesting piece of information about Towson University that you would love for people to know?
I would love for people to know that the university itself is actually 150 years old. And some of my longstanding board members remember getting lunch and trying to sit with the other Jews on campus and these are now lay leaders and board members that are in their 70s. And it's fun. At this basketball game 2 years ago, one of our most incredible, generous donors came up to me and said, I remember when you could hardly even find a kosher carrot on campus. And now, we have the spread and hundreds of people at a Jewish event in a beautiful stadium. And so I think maybe it's not the most interesting fact, but the detail of how much Towson has grown out of this notion of being a commuter school, a teacher prep school, and that it's really become, I think, the fastest growing university in Maryland. And there's incredible pride in it being hyper local still.
Right.
And you see that pride in so many of our alumni that were there, honestly, 50, 55 years ago.
Yeah. Awesome. And my final question is, what do you love most about being leading the Jewish community at Towson?
I really love our students. Of course, I don't get to hang out with them as much as the other staff, but I love our students. I love where they are in life. I love and believe, because my life was changed by walking into a Hillel, Madison. I love that any given moment we have the opportunity to shift a student's future forever, just in a conversation, a guest speaker that might come from an organization in Israel, that we they are still, we're always on journeys, I think, if you're lucky, but they're really in this critical moment thinking about what happens next in life for them, and we get to be a part of that story if they embrace it. And of course, to the parents that we get to write home and say we're taking care of your kids, that part feels so special. And having the larger community, Baltimore is unique in the sense that we have the Associated. Our federation ultimately is our largest stakeholder, and we are a program of our federation here. And so the embedded support in this community is really truly unique in this country.
Awesome. Well, that's all for the questions that I have. Thank you very, very much for your time. And I will provide information for families so that they can go ahead and reach out directly to Towson University Hillel and to learn more about you. But this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Come visit us.